So I'm avian Christian, just a common gardener. Maybe that'll be my YouTube channel name, Common Gardener. Sounds good to me. But anyway, I'm back with another installment about Argonaut squash. It's called Argonaut, but it's actually a hybrid butternut. And I failed to mention that in the last 3 or 4 installments. That this type of butternut squash, it is a hybrid. So, some people don't like to deal with hybrids or whatever. It is beginning to get flowers. And you can see a little squash right there, right next to the male flower. There's a female flower. And I'm noticing there's a lot of flowers. You can see that little splash of gold and yellow in there. There's a lot of flowers that are starting to come out. There's a little squash on the end of that one. That vine. And there's one that dried up. There's another one. And I'm always real antsy about this process. I think the other day now I was talking about, just a couple days ago, this vine right here had only, this is a grapevine that's growing over a tree. It's just making a big ugly mound. And everybody's kind of scared to stick their hands in there to pick the grapes because this is one of the favorite hangouts for black widow spiders. And of course wasps, other type of insect, but it's only got like a couple of, well, I'll say about 3 feet now before it reaches that grapevine. Yesterday, well, maybe 2 days ago, it was about 6 feet. So it's running. And the vine is still looking real healthy. Still looking good. You can see that these little leaders. And as I said before, I'm not going to cut none of them back. They're going to take over this part of my yard, and that's okay. Whenever I grow something like this, just let it grow. You give it the space, and then you just let it grow. And it is gone. This is another one of the leader vines. And that vine that's how long it is, all the way to that little house there. So, you're doing a real fine job of growing, although we have not had any sustainable squash on as of yet. We've had these little babies, and they fall off or dry up rather, because they have not been fertilized or pollinated. So that being said, it makes all the sense in the world that we don't have any fruit as of yet, but that's temporary. Now it's just the beginning of August, That one the other day was reaching for this pokeweed tree. This thing has grown into a tree. I haven't cut it back. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful plant. Starting to get berries on it now. There are some medicinal purposes to this plant, but it is poison as well. But my vine, as you can see, just going right underneath there. And I ain't restraining these vines. For one thing, they have these tendrils on there, these tendrils, which are perfect for, using to climb up on things. They could grow very well on a trellis if you were in fact able to secure them so that they would not be damaged. We have some wild winds here sometimes in Texas. Not worse than other places, more, but you got something on a vine, you want to make sure that it's in good shape. So I just prefer for them to be on the ground, but I imagine the good Lord must have had an intent for them to grow with the support of things, because they've got these little tendrils on them. I call them tendrils. I think there's another word for it, which eludes me at this time. Well, there you see some more yellow flowers, male flowers. They're all throughout there. And back in the days, you used to just see a lot of bees. Bees would be on top of this, man. Early in the morning, I'd come out and watch them, because most of these flowers now, if you notice, they're closed. So sometimes during the day, they close up. But they open up in the morning and they allow the bees to pollinate. So there's really not a lot to see today, other than the vines are continuously growing, which is a good thing. Everything looks pretty healthy. Every now and then I'll see a leaf like that, which I haven't actually went in there and dissected them to see. Could be a squash borer inside that leaf, or maybe that's just one of the original leaves that it's just time for it to expire. Whatever the reason, I've got relatively few of those in comparison to healthy foliage, which is just all over the place. And this is a beautiful plant, man. It's a beautiful vine, beautiful vine. It's consistent of 10 separate individual plants. So what would have happened if I'd have planted more than this? And that's just running all over the place. This is a good thing. I'm excited. But my excitement is awaiting harvest. Even, to go ahead and put some fruit on so I can see. But I have faith that this vine is going to produce after its kind, like it was intended to. And I have seen this on numerous occasions, year after year, that they don't do what they got to do until it's time. They have time, so the plant is doing what it's supposed to do. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And part of the joy of growing things and gardening is having to wait. Waiting until fruit production fruit setting, growing. As I said before in a previous video, these, according to the, I think it was Baker Seed Company where I got these seeds from, they're supposed to produce some that are between 20 and 30 pounds. Now that's a large and extremely heavy butternut squash. So that's what I want to see. I want to see if it's actually going to produce anything close to that. I will be weighing them when they come out. See if I have any that are even 10 pounds. That would be a welcome surprise. Usually in the store, butternut squashes, 3 to 5. I got one in the house right now, 5 pounds. It's pretty huge, and I can't eat it by myself. It will feed a family. But to see a 20 or 30 pounder, wow. So I'm not gonna belabor this day. We're just gonna let this stuff grow, man. It's growing fast. It loves the heat. Summertime. It's tolerating. We got a rain the other day. We've been getting intermediate showers, which have been keeping everything nice and green. Everything is lush and green down here in South Texas right now. Well, pecan trees are full of pecans. Haven't been dropping off, haven't lost any. Everything's been growing. So I think the next time I film, I want to have some fruit on there, some that we know is actually gonna go ahead and start the growing process. Had a lot of little old cigarette sized ones, but they haven't been fertilized and they just fall off. None of the female flowers have even opened. So I don't think that's an error. I think it's just by design. The plant has to be mature. It solves all that itself. You know, I've read something on the internet where you can hand pollinate, but I think for myself, I have a concern that if it's not ready to produce and you force it to, and that may affect the yields later on. So I'm just gonna let nature take over, and as long as I don't see no major problems right now, it don't look like anything major going on. It's growing, certainly growing, and so just let it do what it do. And I figure here probably another week or two. Of course, it may not even be that long. It's hard to say. It's growing a couple of 2 or 3 feet every day. The vines, they're growing long. So I can just imagine if there's some fruit on here, they're gonna grow pretty fast as well. But the next time I come on here, I hopefully will have some fruit to show, and things will get really exciting then. And it kind of looks like now that I'll have at least be able to show the little fruit on there, and then maybe a couple of video recordings after that showing the progress, and maybe point some of the biggest ones out. And then finally be able to film around harvest, which I'm estimating between September and the end of October. I hope that we have fruit on out in the sun ripening by the end of September, because normally in this area we get a freeze in October, and that freeze will destroy all of this foliage, and it will also, it will affect the squash if there's any on the ground. They'll freeze in one part, whatever part is vulnerable to the environment. It'll freeze, and then that part will just slough off. It essentially will rot in that spot. So they need to come up while it's still warm before the freeze comes. So we got a lot of good foliage here. It's looking good. Like I say, this is around about the 6th of August. I don't foresee any problem getting where we need to be, because they will put on fruit very quickly. And these little flowers, little male flowers, are just starting to come on, but they still have not produced as heavy as they could. But that's just the way it do if you ever just watch these plants. The females, the fruit won't produce without that male flower. So you got to have a lot of male flowers and bees, and they attract the bees and whatever creatures. I'm probably come out in the morning if I can manage to get up on time. Come out here and see what pollinators are working this area. Bees are very reliable, man, because they give signals to the other bees where their food is at, so that they can come and partake as well. So if you got bees in your garden, I don't know what you can do to keep them or enhance it, but just thank God you got them. The bees are a rarity in that right now. I hope they don't go extinct. It's something that man is doing to the environment. It's some condition that is not favorable for them. So, but there, like I said before, there are other pollinators. There's even other types of bees that may not necessarily make usable honey, but they get the pollination job done as well. So there's a lot of little creatures that are doing, insects that are doing pollination. And if you don't see any of that going on in your garden, you may consider hand pollinating at the proper time. And would be when the plant got mature enough to accommodate or facilitate. So anyway, we're gonna check out, and I'll probably come back, give it a chance to put on some fruit here. This is August the 6th. I'm thinking maybe a couple more weeks we might have something to show, if not before or shortly thereafter. And I'll make another installment, because I don't know about you guys, but this is interesting to me. This is right up my alley. This is what I like doing. I could sit out here all day and just look at this living thing grow. Notwithstanding that, very shortly, this is going to be a source of food for me and my family. Very enjoyable food, and I'll most likely have to give a lot of it away or sell it or something, because well, the kind of harvest that I'm expecting, I'm not going to be able to consume all of that. But it's just fun growing it, fun producing it. So anyway, you guys have a good day. I'm Avian Christian. Talk to you later.